All right, my people. I have the one and only Luis Gamez with me today. I had a number of people, especially the kids I coach. I don't think I even told you this, Luis, but I had a number of kids that I coach who happened to listen to my podcast, and they loved the one that I did with you, of course. And they were when we had mentioned that we were going to get a part two going. They were like, they've been like, "Yo, Coach Neil, when is that part two coming?" And it is here. They love that episode. So I'm fulfilling their wishes. So what is up, my man
Heck
Luis?
yeah,
I
man.
I appreciate you coming back on. This time we got visual too, so people people
Yeah.
get to see your pretty face. Shee, you looking swole, son. Chill, dog.
Hey,
Goodness
hey,
gracious.
I'm glad you had me back. I had a good time talking that one time. Catching up with you, and it feels like it feels like we never stop talking. Every time we talk, we just.
Yeah, it definitely. That's like the social media dilemma is that it just makes everyone feel the world just so much smaller, and you're just able to keep in contact and just shoot a quick DM every now and then. And I don't know. There's definitely something about like DMing is definitely not as much of a responsibility as texting as it feels like. Do you feel that way? Like it's like, oh, I'll just send
No,
a
no,
quick
no.
other way
Yeah.
around.
No, that's the same thing for me.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, I'm like, I can let a DM sit there for a while, but a text, I'm like anxious. I'm like, dang, I got to reply now. Or they're going to think I'm ghosting.
Yo,
At
that's
DM, it's
facts.
just
Yeah,
like,
no, that's facts. That's big facts. So yeah, that
yeah.
social media has definitely allowed us to be a lot smaller and be able to keep up with everyone. Like, dude, I know we're getting straight into it, but Andre Jackson, he got married, and I was like, obviously, he got married in Utah a long time ago, but just
Yeah.
people that I haven't seen in forever, seeing like his wedding photos and who he married, even though I haven't met her and different things like
Yeah.
that. I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, I would have never known if not for social
Right.
media. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. And it's crazy. He married Kaylee. And the crazy thing about that marriage is that a year before we were hanging out for Christmas break at Andre's house, and I bet her $1,000 that he was going to propose the year after. So Kaylee, if you're listening, my Venmo is Papi Gomez 43.
She hasn't paid you yet,
No, no. She's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, hey,
bruh.
Big Daddy's in the big leagues now.
Bro, Andre's making that money now, son. She better pay.
I know, right? I'm gonna have to hit an invoice here soon.
Hey, she's next thing you know is you're just blocked from everything because
No, they're,
hey,
they're they're awesome. They're a great couple.
interest,
Great
baby,
couple.
interest is
Yeah,
tacking on.
yeah, for sure. It's been now a year from that time. A little less, but
30% interest. So how you been? How so I saw you obviously you're playing in Mexico still and for their
yeah,
professional baseball. So the season just ended for you?
yeah. I just ended about August like 24th or something. We
Yeah.
ended up making the first round of playoffs, lost in Game 7 in the first round after coming back from a 3-0 deficit.
Dang.
We were able to grind back. I was able to throw Game 4, won Game 4, and
Of
then I threw
course.
Game 7. Game 7, and I went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, left the game 2-2. But then they just ended it in the 8th. They hit like a grand slam, went 4 ahead, and they packed it up. But I mean, we were
Oh.
seeded number 6. We were the last seeded team against the number 1 team. So I mean, coming back from the 3-0, we made some noise in that league because we're the youngest team. We're like pretty much the Baltimore Orioles coming into the season, and we were able to clinch, go into the playoffs. So that was cool.
Dang, that's tough, bro. I didn't know all that. So you guys play 7 games in the first round?
Yeah, man. It's best out of 7, or like it's like the normal seat. Like if you win 4, you're in. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's best out of 7. So yeah, it's a grind, man. The playoffs started in like August 6th, and they're about to play like the World Series
Just now.
today. Yeah, game 1's today.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that season over, most of those guys play winter ball in Venezuela, the Dominican, Mexico. So like turning around is quick, man.
Yeah, it never stops.
So it's a grind.
No doubt. How many? So I don't know a whole lot about the. Do you guys play outside of the country, or you guys? How many teams are in? Is it just like
So
the MLB, or
yeah, no, it's 16 teams,
okay?
or no, 19 teams, and it's 8-8, or 9-9, 9-9, 9 in the South, 9 in the North, and you play against. Usually, you do interleague play because of COVID. We only a few teams did interleague. The rest just played within their zones. What
Okay.
it's called. It pretty much split Mexico with the top and the bottom, the North and South, and they go at each other, and then it's just like the MLB. There's a wild card, the sixth place,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then that plays against number one team. And that's how you go. You have the first is like division championship, and then you have your zone championship, and then you have your World Series championship. It's called Serie del Rey, which it
Yeah.
means king of the series or whatever. But yeah, man, it's a good
Sheesh,
league.
that's tough.
This year it was like, man, the competition was crazy. I'm faced Addison Russell, Chris Carter, Eric Ibar, Danny Espinosa was
Dang.
down there. Robert Ozuna, the guy, the closer for the Astros. Solarte, Amarista. There's a handful of guys that are like, are pretty. They had a pretty good baseball career in the big leagues, and now it's like they're coming towards their end. So
now, does the Mexican teams do they pick up those contracts, or is it completely separate?
no, it's completely separate.
Okay.
Like they become a free agent. They become a free agent, and they're free to sign with Korea, Japan,
Anywhere.
Mexico. Yeah, minor leagues, any minor league team or independent ball. So
Yeah. Now, when people go into that league, is it like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here and retire, or is the hope still to
no,
like go up?
depends how you get there. I got there a little younger. Me and my brother Juan got there a little younger. He got there when he was 26, and he
Mm-hmm.
played there for a year and then got signed by the Cubs. So right now he's in AAA with the Cubs. With me, it's kind of been the same thing. I got there, and I've gotten a couple offers, like minor league, not offers, but like I've talked to a couple scouts,
Yeah.
but it's just that the minor leagues, man, the money's tough. It's tough to accept anything that is just like
Livable.
unlivable. So
Yeah.
I think eventually I want to get back to the States, but I mean, I'm really glad. I'm happy where I'm at right now, and obviously, if something came up with MLB team would be nice, or the KBO or something of that sort, But I'm just trying to focus on getting ready for my next season, which is coming up, winter ball with Monterey, and the spotlight's a little bit more on me than it used to be, so I'm excited for that.
So if any MLB coaches are listening, Luis is ready to sign. His Cash App is Bobby Gamez. Send him an email. Whatever you gotta do. Now I had a couple questions for you because obviously you played for those that might not have listened to the first episode. You play with the Braves. Now, obviously, you're older now, so you've matured. Mm-hmm. However, what's like changed as far as your workload has gone and how you're preparing for the next season and different things like that? Because I obviously follow you on Instagram, and so I get to see like everything that you post, like you throwing to nobody, like you're just throwing to dots. I don't know how to explain it to someone that doesn't play baseball, but you throw to a back screen as a catcher and you just try and paint the spots and different things like that. But so how has that maybe changed over the course of like when you were with the Braves and the coaching there, the coaching style there, to like how you are now and preparing for like the next season? How is all that progressed?
Like when I was younger, it was just like pedal to the metal all day, like just get as big as I can, just try to throw as hard as I can, and try to just become the biggest, best pitcher I could be. And then as I went through the minor leagues, I got injured, and when you get injured, that kind of forces you to like learn about your body, and learn about how to prepare for a season, or how to prepare for for the next year. For me, it's tough because of summer and winter ball. The turnaround is quick, so you got about a month of rest between each leagues. So I've had to kind of become crafty with my training. Obviously, yeah, I throw to the backstop because I mean, I'm from Tucson. I moved to Phoenix. I don't know a lot of people, and a lot
Bro,
of
I
my
would catch you.
buddies. Yeah,
I'd
a
catch
lot
you,
of my
bro.
buddies, a lot of my buddies that like are that play are in the minor leagues. So right now they're not home. So I have to get creative with the way I work. I think I'm too old and I got too many responsibilities to be like, oh well, I got nowhere to throw today. I'm just not gonna throw. I have a very strict program that I have to follow. Sometimes my parents are even like, why don't you just come down to Tucson? You have your little brother to throw with. But I mean, I'm here because of my girlfriend, obviously Lauren, and you know, that's another side of the story. But yeah, I just kind of learned how to prepare for a season. I always listen to my body now. I've learned how important rest is. You're not a robot as much as you probably think that you are.
Yeah,
Ligaments will get
especially as
tired,
a young
muscles
person.
get tired, right? So I really focus on my recovery, man. I've been able to, I use certain tools like electromagnetic therapy, cupping therapy, massages, all different type of stuff. So now, like the rehabilitation part of it is always, even though I'm not hurt, it's always going to be part of my preparation. I always have my recovery time, and then I have my get after it time. And then when you see me throw into like that little screen, it's like a square. I put like a cone, and then I put a ball, and I just try to hit it for like 100 throws, and that's just me working on accuracy. Because I mean, if you're aiming something like that, your misses are gonna be smaller than if you're aiming at something like that. It's just logical. So I've been working on that. I'm about to get into the stage of bullpens, and then I got a report for winter ball September 19th. So really excited to be prepared for that.
Yeah. So what are some things that you focus on, like, because obviously you reach certain things, so you're like, okay, I want to throw 95. Okay, you throw
Mm-hmm.
95. Is it just like keep going up as far as, okay, I want to reach the maximum velocity that is possible? I want to be throwing
Yeah.
98. Or do you try and then focus on, okay, I want my slider breaking,
Yeah.
6 inches or whatever it might be. I want my curveball to. So, like, what do you focus on as a professional pitcher, honing in on your craft? Because like you said, when you were younger, you're just like, I want to throw it as hard as I can.
Yeah.
I want to get as strong as I can. Different things like that. I want to stand out in this area, this specific area. But I guess that's what makes some guys like Oral Hershiser or Greg Maddox. Those guys where they're just like, okay, I want to just spot up. I know what I need to focus on. I want to change some different things as far as like the height level, in and out, off speed, the fastball, different things like
Yeah.
that. So Luis Gamez, what do you focus on as far as being
Yeah.
honing in on some
So when
things?
when I got hurt, when I got Tommy John, coming back from that injury was like my number one focus was like I need to get my velocity back, because if I don't have my velocity back, no teams is gonna sign me.
What?
The
So
heart rate, the heart.
how fast were you throwing to around
I
that
was
time?
like the year that I got hurt was 2016, and like my starts, I was like from 92 to 96. I would touch
Hmm.
a 7 here and there, but like 92 to 96 was my range. And then I got hurt, and coming back, it was like 86, 88, 86, 88. Sometimes I'll hit a 90, and that's when I got released. And then I went to Mexico, and I was just like, my whole focus was just throwing hard,
Hmm.
and I had a terrible year, 2 terrible years back to back, because it was just like I was pressing on getting signed and not focusing on like pitching, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
COVID hit, and I just changed my whole thing. I had so much time in my hands that I could change. I reinvented my mechanics. I just started focusing on different things, like, all right, conquering the middle, the middle of the zone. And then once I can hit the middle consistently, then we start moving to the right. And then because arm side, it's always easier as a pitcher to hit your arm side spot. And then I can dominate arm side, and now we go out. And now I could dominate out. Now let's start moving it, start sinking it, let's start curving it, start sliding it, start changing it. And then after I kind of felt comfortable with all my pitches, I started doing, I don't know, you'll see on my Instagram, I always do like live BPs. I love live BPs because that's the closest way you can simulate to action. You can simulate counts. You can simulate situations. Obviously, it's not the same because you can't, like, nothing will be like a game, you know, but that's the closest you can get. And doing so many of those, I kind of like train my mind to think a certain way with certain counts. Like sometimes I'd fall in a 3-1 count. I'm like, oh, like I'm done. Like it's that bad. It's over. And it's not. Like it's very much alive, you know. So being able to think that way, I took it into the winter season, and then it was like my best season. And then I took it a step further into the summer, and this was one of my greatest seasons. Like in the playoffs, I was shut out. You know, I felt like every high pressure game I had a good result because I trained my mind to be in that same, like I would always be like throwing live BPs, you know, guys are messing around or whatever, but I'm thinking like, oh, I got to run on third and second, 1 out, and I got a 2-0 count. Like I got to hone down on this pitch, you know, and that's like my mind just kind of like was used to that, used to putting that pressure on myself. So it was easier to take into a season.
So you said, I know I'm picking your brain just on some specifics, but you said you changed some mechanical things. So, hey, Lauren.
Sorry, Lauren's here.
Hey, what's up?
It's my girlfriend.
Hey, what's up, Lauren? Good to see you.
Says hi.
Hey, so you said you changed some mechanical things. What? So again, I got a lot of athletes that listen to this. So what's some mechanical things that you switched? What was like? Was it small things or was it big adjustments?
It was a small adjustment, but it made such a big difference, you know, because like I was always seeing how pitchers would move like this, you know, from east to west, you know, and you're like, you would go and then you would just open up, you know, and that was like a big thing I did because I would try to create velocity with my front side, and that's impossible to do. And I was always trying to just see my video. I'm like, all right, I'm going like this from east to west. I got to start going from south to north or from north to south, you know, like, and that's what I started focusing on. I was trying to focus on throwing, like staying within a line that I always worked with when I was younger, but I never thought of it. I never thought of it the way that I was able to see like a YouTube video. So a guy was like, if you just lock your front side, you won't be able to open up. Like it would be frankly impossible. So I just started focusing on that. I was like, literally like broke it down to like break, go, boom, break, go, you know? And then I started using this other tool called the Revolution Thrower. It's a tool that one of my brother's pitching coaches invented actually, that it's like, it just helps you stay inside 90 degrees when you throw. And a lot of times I would like separate my hand from my head, and that would create, you know, make me go like that instead of staying like that. The closer you are to your head, like the easier it is to throw a strike. So I just focus on those things. Like I said, to answer your question, it's instead of going east to west, I started focusing north to south. And you see in the big leagues now, guys pitch north to south. Like that's the new thing. You know, it used to be like east to west, but I think north to south, it helps make your breaking ball look a little better. You know, so that's what I focused on, and it was a big change for me.
Yeah, there's this guy that I follow still, but I started following him back when I was a senior in college, and he's called Teacher Man, and he just really focuses on creating like a pocket in your back hip, and then you know, especially for hitting, generating all the power from your back hip. But then he goes even further. Obviously his focus is definitely on hitting. That's what he does.
Right.
But he like he's worked with Aaron Judge before, and Aaron Judge is like a picture perfect guy of what the teacher, I forget I think it's like Richard something, what he's actually trying to go for. But then he even brings it into pitching, and pitchers, how they create that back pocket with their back hip as their leg is coming up, and they're really like leaning in almost inside of that, and then they finally release it. And he actually brings to light, I'd never heard of this, but a real versus feel type mentality. So where it feels like, you know, because you hear like Barry Bonds when he talks about hitting, or A-Rod, a lot of them will say, oh, I swing down. But then you slow their swings up, and they're not swinging down. In fact, their bat path is like dropping back here, and they're really swinging up, not like launch angle swing up, obviously, but like their level, they're not coming straight down to the ball.
Right.
even though it feels like they are, they're really not. And so that's what
Mm-hmm.
this guy Teacher Man was really saying. And so for you, the reason why I even brought that up is because when you're pitching, it probably, I mean, I don't know, but it probably feels like you're going from east to west, but it's really to perfect it or to really like understand like the mechanical things, you really should be like north to south,
Right.
but it feels different. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
No,
know if that
it's a
makes
good
sense.
thing. It's a good point. No, like for sure. Cause like feel and actual like because I always think I look a certain way and then I watch video and I look completely different. And I'm like, okay, like that's not what I picture. Like I think I'm Trevor Bauer up there, bro. Like the mechanic. And then I look at myself and I'm like, you know. So like the thing about it is that I'm not very mechanical. Like I don't do a lot of I do mechanical work on my
Yeah.
own. And I think that's one of my flaws right now that I'm working on. It's like I hate when a coach approaches me and tells me a mechanical fix and a mechanical error because, dude, I watch video of myself 2 hours, a week or 3, 4 hours a week, so I can I know exactly if a pitch goes that way. I know that I took it a little bit. If it goes a little bit that way, is that I opened up. Like I know what I'm doing in that aspect. So I try not to focus too much on mechanics, but more on the mental side because your mind will be able to make that adjustment if you've worked on it. You know what I mean? So me is all in my head, like if I miss in, I'm like, all right, I got to go a little bit left. I got to go a little bit left. And then boom, the adjustment's made. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes I just don't have it. And there's days like that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
every athlete. You just don't have it. That's when
Yeah.
you just got to grind it out, So, and grinding it out is easier said than done. But yeah, I'm not very mechanical, to be honest with you. I just try to focus on like I said, counts and tempo of the game, and I like to trust my stuff, So I feel that acquiring a sinker has like saved my career.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Wow.
I live and die by that pitch. Like I
Who told
remember,
who told you to do that? Was it someone? Was it a coach that, or
no, my
Juan or
brother,
Juan?
Juan, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
His
yeah.
sinker's
So he's like,
gross.
I was coming off a terrible year, going into COVID. And he's like, bro, just throw your sinker. Like, throw a sinker middle. That sinker middle will get you out of so many jams.
It's your out
And I
pitch.
start, yeah, man. And I remember like game 3 in winter ball, like bases loaded, no outs. Boom, I get a pop up to the catcher, and then the 4-hitter comes up, and I just 3-0 count, and I throw a sinker middle. Boom, ground ball, double play. We'll see you later. And it's happened so many times, dude. I'm like, I can't find the
Wow.
zone. And I'll just throw because a sinker looks like a fastball. So they
Yeah.
see it meaty, they see it middle, and they just bust into their bat. And you get so many ground balls to third and to short like that. It's a great pitch.
I love that. And two, I love what you're really honing in on is just the mental aspect of it. Like that goes for any sport, but especially for baseball, man.
Baseball, yeah.
Especially for
Yeah.
baseball.
And you hear it so many times when you're growing up, like, Yogi Berra, 90% mental, 10% physical, and you're just like, nah, bro, this is my body. Like, I know
Yeah.
it's 100% true. Because I've come into games like you just feel that like I'm about to, yeah, somebody is in trouble today and it's not me, and it's like boom, 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 boom,
I love that.
and the whole time I'm thinking about like, damn, I feel good. And then there's times where like I wake up and I just don't feel good that day. And
Yeah.
and those are my worst days because I'm just so honed in like how I feel instead of like, all right, we're going to sequence, we're going to work these guys in and we're going to finish them out. Instead, I'm thinking like, damn, man, my elbow doesn't feel great,
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like the mind is just so important. And being in school right now, I'm taking online classes and being in school and playing, professionally, that's helped me so much because I'm not overthinking baseball. I have other things to do.
Yeah.
So I'm able to like focus on like, all right, damn, I got a paper due tomorrow. I gotta, and the
Got
same
that
day I
college
gotta
life.
start. Yeah, dude. So that's helped me like be able to balance because I think sometimes I would get too consumed into baseball that I would overthink it. And having other responsibilities now, like having a dog, having have pay my own bills, having to do school, that's gonna help me balance it, because like I said, for all the young ones out there listening, you can't be too consumed over one thing because you will burn out, you know. So you got to grind, you got to work, but you got to also be able to balance your life, you know,
Yeah.
have a social life, have a, you know, focus on your school stuff. And I don't want to sound like a teacher, but like school is more important than you think, you know.
Oh, teach him, bro. Teach him. Come on.
No, man, it's just like with every aspect in life, even like for example, in the minor leagues, that's a big difference. Like you have a kid coming in from the Dominican Republic who's hitting 300, but you have a kid who just came from Stanford who's hitting 240. They're gonna call a kid from Stanford up because of this. Like they know that if you go through school and you go through college and you go through a school like that, you're able to deal with stress. You're able to deal with responsibility, and that's what I've learned most coaches like. You know, they like a guy who can speak, who can like know how to carry themselves. You know, who can knows how to talk to the press, knows how to talk to the fans. Like that's a big deal, you know. And at the end of the day, it isn't just about who's the best. You know, it's not. You know,
Yeah,
you see
you got
guys
to
in the
be
big
well
leagues.
rounded.
You got to be well rounded, man. Because I've seen a lot of minor league Latin players, especially, unfortunately, because of like where they come from, that their opportunities are cut short because they just don't know how to deal with stuff off the field. You know, it happens so many times with the Dodgers and the Cuban players. You know, actually, Yasiel Puig was playing the Mexican League this year.
Yeah, I saw him. He started
Yeah,
a fight.
like 6 of them, and he went over there to fix his image, and he just worsened it. You know, like the
Yeah.
guy, you couldn't throw in on him because he would get upset, and that's stuff that you don't learn when you're, you know, living in a country that, I don't want to get too political, but that doesn't have, you don't have that right to go to school. You don't have,
Yeah.
you can't do
No, you're right.
extracurricular activities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, baseball is a little more fun, and you know, it's gonna take, it can take you as long as you want to work, but if you're not a well-rounded person, it's gonna limit you. You know, and you see so many examples, especially in the Mexican League, because they say it's like the jail for the MLB players. There's a lot of guys that are there because they were kicked out of the league for domestic violence charges.
Wow.
There was a guy from Double A that, you know, beat up his girlfriend in the tunnel, and it was caught on camera. Danny Vasquez. So there's different, you know, there's a lot of situations like that. And you see him play, you're like, how's this guy not in the big leagues? You know, Addison Russell was there too. You know, he had some issues with that, but
yeah, they had some. Yeah, Addison Russell definitely with the domestic violence, right? That's what it was.
right, allegedly, but
Oh yeah. But just backtracking just a little bit when you were talking about you know, someone's in trouble and it's not me, dude. As an athlete, I haven't been in this headspace a lot, but my senior year, I was hitting really well, and then I ended up hurting my hamstring and missed like half the season. Not quite, but a little bit close. And but before that, I think I was batting, I don't even remember, like 350, 380. I had the highest batting average. And dude, I remember thinking, I didn't tell a bunch of people this at the time, but I remember thinking, I was like, this ball looks like a watermelon. Like it's like it's not like you're able to control those type of emotions. You're able to understand that, yes, it's hard. Of course, baseball is extremely hard, but there is that like slight, like almost cockiness where you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a hit. Like this game is like coming easy to me right now. Obviously, it's not, right. It's not easy, but there is those different times in your career and those when you're playing where you're just like, oh, I'm actually kind of nice at this right now.
Right. You know, and the thing about it is, like, when you're playing in the Mexican League, it's like the middle age, like the average age is 32. So veterans stay there till like 40. So as a rookie, man, it's tough because veterans don't want you to be there. Like even in your own team, that happens in the big leagues as well. You know, when you're playing for big amounts of money, stuff like that happens. And I would always say, I had a teammate, my shortstop, he's like 24 and I'm 25. We're in the playoffs with the youngest team. And I'm like, and shagging the outfield, we're down 3-0. And I'm like, bro, these guys are not that good, man. Like they think that they're good. That's why they're the stuff, like they execute better than us. But because they think coming into this game, they're better than us.
Yeah.
If we thought that we're as good as them, like And that was me coming in against them. I was like, bro, they had Adrian Gonzalez as well. I'm like,
Oh,
this guy's washed.
I love
This guy's
Aegon.
washed. Yeah. Yeah. And that was my mentality. And I ended up striking him out, but he hit a double against me. But I was like, yeah, I hung that, like I coming into the game, I didn't care who any of these guys were or where they played. Like you just gotta, if you come in with a different mindset, I feel like it could just always help you instead of hurt you,
Bro, that's so true. One of my one of my coaches in college, he was just like because there's a difference between being prideful and
Right.
being
cocky.
being cocky, right? Because you can have the most confidence in yourself and be extremely humble, right? You are confident in your abilities. And so one of the things that he told us, he's like, you need to know that you are the best catcher on the field. You're the best cat. You need to
But you
walk
gotta
like
actually believe it, though.
yeah,
You
you
gotta
have to
actually
believe it.
which is the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah, because you gotta walk it, and then you gotta talk the talk, or you gotta back it up. And so that's the thing too. Is even on an 0 for 4 day, you're still going into the next game. You're like, no, I'm still here for a reason. I'm still the best.
Yeah, 100%.
And that goes back to what you were saying, trusting your stuff.
Right, you gotta trust your stuff because obviously there was outings where I would get jumped on right away. Like I remember facing Monclova, the team with Eric Akbar and Addison Russell. First time I faced them, they were just like chasing my sinker and beating it to the ground, getting a bunch of double plays. Second time, they got my scan report. They studied me a little bit. They were a little more patient. They would try to work the count, and they made their adjustment. But my point is, like, I was always like, when they would get I remember Eric Akbar went 4 for 4 against me on 4 different pitches. Like, he hit my sinker, he hit my curveball, he hit my changeup, and he hit my slider, and he got 4 hits off of me. And the guy's like, "Damn, this got your number." And I'm like, "He just had a better day than me. Like, he's not better than me. He just had a better day." And that's how you got to take at it. These guys are also pros, and they're gonna have good days. Where there's days that I'm just like, untouchable. There's days like that. You got to be able to play with that, because I remember being younger, I would have a bad game, and I'm like, "Damn, I lost it. I lost my sauce."
I'm retired. I'm done. I'm washed. 21 years old. I'm washed.
And you look at big leaguers, man, and they can have a tough game. All the adversity Ohtani went through, all these type of other players, but they always stayed. They had that confidence that, all right, my stuff is there. I'm just not executing. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, but my stuff is there. I still got the ability. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm one of the best players in the world. That's confidence that they got.
Speaking of one of the better pitchers right now in baseball, is Julio Urias. The dude actually, he had oh man, I can't remember the exact start, but early in the season, he got rocked. He got shelled. I think it was by the Giants. But talk about adversity. Have you met him before?
I have not. Oh, actually, yes, I have in a game in Winter Ball.
Because he's from Mexico, so I didn't know.
Yeah, Culiacan. Yeah, I have met him, but very briefly. The buddies that I was with knew him better than I did. I just introduced myself, and my buddies were talking to him because they played in national teams before. So, no, but dude, you meet that guy in person, and he's not doing this he's not being a jerk, but you just feel that he knows that he's better than everybody right in front of him.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything, or he doesn't make you feel that, but you can just feel that confidence.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I see that with a lot of pro guys. I remember Colby Allard was one of my buddies with the Braves. He's now with the Rangers. And dude, he was a guy was 5'9", small dude, not very buff. First rounder though, stud. And his appearance wouldn't let him. He was always so confident. I'm like, bro, you're tiny. How are you so confident? And he would have 90, 92, but the dude was so confident always. Not in a mean way, not in a jerkish way, but he knew he was a stud, and every day he approached it that way, And I think that's what made the difference for him, because he's not a guy that threw 195. He was always 89 and 92, but the dude just was able to, mix his pitches well and have that confidence that if I throw a 2-0 fastball, it's not going to get peppered,
Yeah, and there's that definite balance of just to preface, any players that are listening to this, don't be so cocky
No,
that your teammates don't want to be around
no.
you, and the other
Right.
team are like, I want to hit this guy in the face with my fastball.
Mm-hmm.
But there is that. So there is definitely a balance. But it's something to be said about being like, okay, if I throw my best against his best, and let's see who wins. I'm going to
Right.
present my best is going to beat his best right now. And
Right.
you got to believe it. You have to believe it.
You have to.
That's the only way.
Because that small doubt that you have, because dude, it's happened to me. It's like some days I'm like, damn, I just feel like I can't throw a fastball in the zone because I feel like it's gonna get rocked. And every time I have that doubt behind my head and I throw it fast, it's every time. Even like in me watching video, feeling that way, I'm like, dang, that's a good pitch, but I didn't throw it with conviction, you know. And then there's times where I'm throwing literally missing middle, but I'm throwing with conviction. And it gets grounded out to the third baseman. It gets popped up in foul territory, you know, or something like that. Like, and you watch guys like Scherzer, and he's my favorite guy to watch because his conviction is just like everything he throws is with conviction, you know, even if it's a ball that misses by 10 feet, he's throwing that with conviction, you know. So I feel like as a pitcher, conviction is like the most important thing. Even if you don't have your best stuff, you got to like throw it with that conviction that it's not going to get hit hard.
Yeah, dude, Max Scherzer, I forget. Once we signed him, I'm a Dodger fan. I think most people know this, but once we signed him, dude, I was like, Trevor Bauer, who? Like, I was like, it's not even a big deal, dude. What's up with that Trevor Bauer stuff? Do you think he's coming back? Do you think? So let me ask you this.
He's not coming back.
Let me ask you this: as a player in a locker room, knowing some of the stuff that he did, I won't get into it. If you want to know what Trevor Bauer is accused of doing, then you guys can look it up. But knowing what he did, how would it be in the locker room with that type of thing going on? Would you guys just like business as usual, or like how would that be?
It depends the relationship you have with that guy and how well you know him. You know, like for example, if it was somebody that I knew personally, like if it was Bauer and I was his boy, I would try to figure out if this is true. But like if it's just like a situation where he came in and, you know, we have small talk, you know, because I always do this because you're not always gonna like guys you play with. You know, there's a lot of guys that I play with that I honestly I just do not see myself hanging out with outside of the baseball field. But this is like
it's a job.
Once you mature, you're able to realize you have to find a way to work with guys. You know, you have to separate your personal stuff with the business stuff, you know, because you guys all have to work toward one championship. Because if you guys win, you know, you guys get compensated for it. In the case of Trevor Bauer, it just disappoints me so much because that guy knew he was coming. The MLB was coming after him. Like he put himself in the spotlight where every small mistake he was going to make was going to be criticized heavily. Yeah. And to make a mistake of that, like that big of a mistake, like you gotta be smarter than that, you know. And it's easy to criticize because you don't know the situation he's in. You know, it's still like a legal open case. So, I mean, my opinion on it is like, if you're gonna put yourself in the spotlight, my man, you have to protect your stuff. Like, you gotta be smarter than that. You know, you gotta be smarter than that. But it's just one of those things that if he was my teammate, I would just kind of leave it, you know, let him handle it. I wouldn't criticize. I wouldn't unfollow him from Instagram. Like,
I know all the Dodgers. Yeah, that was kind of.
That's just a bad look. You know, that's just a bad look because if he comes out on the other side of this, I mean, he's innocent. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying if this is.
No, you're right.
You know, you're gonna look like a fool because it looks like you turned your back on your teammate. You know, and I think that's just a bad look. I feel like anything inside a clubhouse should stay inside a clubhouse and should never get leaked out or talked about to the people on the outside, because that just creates conversation and conversations can cause distractions from like winning, you know? So that's how I was brought up in the minor leagues. But
yeah, and he welcomes the spotlight. I mean, clearly, I mean, he has his own YouTube channel. He walks around with the camera.
Right.
Even when there's cameras around, he still has his own. To be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of Trevor Bauer. Just when I didn't keep up with him too much, but I was just like, I kind of felt the same way you did. Is like he's kind of just taking away from the Indians, like, you know, he's taking away from what the Indians are trying to do or what the Reds are trying to do by just always welcoming the spotlight and really just demanding the spotlight. That's what I felt like he
Right.
was. And
Right. And there's a balance because I feel like he was doing his own thing. Like he was his
yeah,
own person, and he didn't let anybody, like, for example, like his personality didn't change because of the restrictions he had. But like working for an employer, if you're working for a school, in your case, there's just certain things you can't do, and that's
yeah,
just part of life. It's just
yeah,
anywhere in any profession, there's things that you're going to be able to do, and there's things you're not going to be able to do. That's just how life works. There's laws, there's rules, and you have to follow them. That is a good point with you. I didn't like that he just kind of set himself as this outlaw and like, oh, I'm not going to follow these rules because I'm Trevor
yeah,
Bauer, and that's you getting a little bit, thinking you're a little bit bigger than the game, and stuff like this happens on those type of things. The game will always humble you,
yeah,
because Bauer would come
yeah,
out and say these things, and then he'd come out and shove, so you couldn't say anything to him.
yeah,
But baseball always finds a way to humble you, one way or the other. I hope it's not he doesn't,
yeah.
gets wrongly convicted of something, but I'm just saying, like, that's just an example of you can't ever think you're bigger than the game.
Yeah, you got to be level-headed. You got to be.
Right.
And yeah, it just felt like so when the Dodgers got him, I started of course paying attention to him more. And I watched like I probably watched a little bit of one of his home videos, like his ones, and he came into the locker room one time and you can kind of just like read the room. Like I think I saw Justin Turner like in the background, and it just kind of looked like, dude, why are you like recording in the locker room type thing?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know if they like this. Like I know
No.
the Dodgers signed on to it, like, cause I guess that was part of his
Right.
contract, and that he needs to be able to be allowed to continue to do like what he's doing, promote, whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, but that's a front office. That's not the players. The players
Exactly.
are not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess that was my question to you too, is like, if like Trevor Bauer does come back, do you think the players are gonna like do? I don't know. Does the Dodgers even want him? You think? I don't know. Like,
No. I don't think baseball is one of those sports that if you do something like that, you'll be kicked out forever.
yeah,
I mean, Trevor Bauer is going to be tough. Honestly, I'm
he's
like
so
clueless
good.
on how they're going to deal with it because he's so good. But
Yeah,
like Puig, man, you can't tell me Puig. There's 50 guys better than Puig right now in the big leagues. I mean, my guy's traits are still out of this world, but he had that issue. The only guy that's surviving right now in the league that had a domestic violence issue is Chapman. Everybody else, you see Puig gone. You see what's his face?
Addison Russell.
Addison Russell gone. Any little domestic violence, MLB does not want to deal with that. They will put a black eye on you, and you'll be gone forever. Like they don't
I
want
never thought
to
about
deal
that.
with
Yeah.
that. So the only guy that's still standing is Chapman, that had a big case and it was public. And that's because, his contract is just, the magnitude of his contract is insane. So, and he is one of the best, if not the best closer in the league right now, or in the past year or so. But I mean, personally, I would hate if somebody's recording in the clubhouse because it's just like, it's your space, it's like, especially when you're with the Dodgers. I mean, you got cameras all over. Cameras, BP cameras during the game. You got interviews. Like, man, like this is just a little area to rest. And yeah, I could see Turner being one of those guys that like, hey man, I don't care what you did over there, but you ain't gonna be doing that over here. So I'm sure he had to work with him because that was their guy. But as soon as the situation came where he was not going to be their guy anymore, you saw how he felt about him.
I know. Yeah. With what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but just in regards to the cameras, dude. Did you see? You're totally right about the Dodgers. They do. I don't know. You probably don't pay attention too much, but they do whenever they call someone up to the league. Backstage Dodgers. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with the Reds or any. Like, I only pay attention to the Dodgers. But yeah, you're totally right, dude. They're gonna promote you. They're gonna promote your brand. They're gonna promote you as an individual.
You're in LA.
You're in LA. You're in the heart and the throes of everything Los Angeles. Like the Dodgers are it. Like the Rams aren't it. Like I'm sure there's Rams fans there. The Lakers have been trash. Obviously the last 2 years they've been good, but like the Dodgers were what LA had. And so like everyone
Right.
loves the Dodgers. And so I just was like, I don't know. I appreciated what Bauer was doing, as far as like pitching wise. But again, I was just like, I don't know. I guess he rubbed me the wrong way, and I wasn't the only one.
Right. Right. No, I know. I've met guys that play with, and I was like, it's that guy that you just kind of let him do his thing. And I mean, he wasn't going to be a jerk to you, but he just did his own thing, and he didn't accept criticism in any way. So I feel
Yeah.
like with that situation, I just hope that whoever was guilty of whatever is convicted
Yeah.
of. If that girl's guilty of false accusations, I hope she's convicted. But
Yeah.
with that thing is like, don't bring cameras in the clubhouse, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
So dude, you've met some pretty dope people, including Aegon. I didn't even realize that you've met Aegon. I love Adrian Gonzalez, bro. When he was with the dude, I'll go back and just watch highlights when it was Adrian Gonzalez, when we had Josh Beckett, when we had Hanley Ramirez. Dude, we had a stud team.
Yeah.
We could never get to the series, bro. It frustrated me so much. Yeah. But dude, what is that like meeting, like, I don't know, just like people you grew up watching?
Yeah. I first time because I faced that team 3 times. First time I faced him, I was kind of like, dang, this is Adrian Gonzalez. Looks like Justin TV, Dude looks the same. A little ground ball double play. Sorry about it. We'll see you next year, though. No, and then my funny story with him, though, is that he hit a double in the playoffs, 6th inning, 2 outs. Boom, hit a double, hung a breaking ball. I was like, dang, whatever. And then he was standing in second base, the 4 hitters hitting because he was hitting third. And he's just kind of like, kind of messing with me.
Yeah. What is he, like 250 pounds?
No, I just stare at him. I ended up picking off, actually. And then he stopped doing that. But then the guy I was facing, I threw a breaking ball right down the middle. I will show you the video after we talk. And I thought it was a strikeout. So I turn around. I'm pounding my chest because it's the 6th inning of the playoff game. Yeah. And Adrian's like, he just points to home plate. And I look over and the umpire is just standing there and he called it a ball. So,
oh my gosh.
And then I turn around to look at Aegon and he's just dying laughing. He's just like, that's my good Aegon story.
Well, you probably posted that video. I always vote when you're like ball or strike. I'm always definitely a strike.
You gotta be honest though, because with some guys get frustrated about that. And actually my team, they called me Luis Bauer because they got frustrated with me. Yeah. Shout out to Zero.
That's comedy. I didn't even realize that. They don't like. Yeah, they just called you out on doing that.
They would give me a hard time because I like to interact with fans from Monterey on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
they always show a lot of love and I feel like they're not fans. I'm just interacting with people I like. They're good people and they always support. So why wouldn't I interact with them? So and then I would do that because the thing about this Mexican league is if you're not doing good in 3 games, you'll be released or you'll be taken off the roster, whatever. You're liable to perform good. But these umpires, man, the misses. I've gone outings where I go 5-6 innings and they miss 10 pitches.
Really?
And I'm just like, bro, there's nobody. They're not being held responsible for this. They're not being liable. If an umpire if you piss an umpire off early, he's just gonna stop calling strikes. Down the middle, man. I remember one time I was arguing balls and strikes. Or not really arguing. I was just kind of showing
showing your emotion.
Showing my emotions. And the dude calls the other umpire calls a balk on me and running on third. Not a balk. I just came set, calls a balk, and he's like, "What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it?" I'm just like, oh. So I started putting him on Instagram so people could see how bad these people are and how somebody needs to come into this league and help. Man, we're competing. Yeah. There's people here competing to feed
your livelihood.
Families.
Yeah, it's your livelihood.
And if I'm busting my butt, man, if I'm busting my butt, if I come in, I'm throwing strikes and it's a 6th inning and you're taking pitches from me, come on, man. So I would always post so I can get people's opinion.
What's the deal with that? Why? I never even realized
it's just that it's like the MLB, with the aspect, if you're facing a veteran guy and you're a rookie or you're a younger guy, the zone's just going to be like, but it's like in the MLB, they can't be too bad about that because, you know, you have the whole world watching and you have the square on the TV during the game. Mexican League, you don't. So these guys could just be as bad as they want. And it's like no consequences. You know, if a guy in the MLB like Angel Hernandez has like a 74% strikes and balls, like he won't umpire in the playoffs. No. Yeah. Here in Mexican League, it's like this guy could be the worst umpire of all year, but he will still get in the playoffs because he's a veteran umpire. You know, it's like, dang, like there has to be some kind of accountability. You know, that's what I would get frustrated about. And I'll tell umpires, man. I would always, one of the trainers was like, hey, I've never seen somebody tip their cap to the umpire after the game. And I did, because he had a great game. It wasn't a good game for me. I gave up like 5 runs in 4 innings, but he was straight. Like he gave me what was a strike and he gave me what was a ball. And I respect that. And I kept my cap and he tipped his cap. But if you're bad, I'm going to let you know, man. Hey, gotta be tightened down, my guy.
Tighten up. Aaron Boone, you gotta clap. Gotta tighten up. Dude, bro, I love that, bro. Because he's like, my guys are savages. My guys are savages. I was like, let's go. And Brett Gardner's over there pounding the roof with his bat, bro. I'm like, yo, that's so hype, bro. That is so. I wish that could be me as a coach. Like, tighten up. Let's go. I just want to.
That's me. I was like, yo, tighten up. You got to tighten up for me, kid.
Dude, that's great. I was going to ask you how the differences between umpires would be, but you're answering that question.
Yeah.
Well, here in so one of the so you obviously played against the Power. We talked about that in my last episode. But so the Power were one of the teams that got cut in 2020 of that 30 teams that got cut or across the MLB. And the Power one of them. So now they're in an independent league, and in the independent league, as you know, they try. It's like where they try everything. Like the pitcher's clock was independent first.
Robot umpire.
And that's exactly what they have now. So they have the robot umpire now at the games.
So they got the earpiece.
Yeah, and I am not a fan. I know pitchers probably are, but for me, I'm like, it takes away the fun aspect as a fan and kind of as a player of just like yelling at the umpire because he's terrible.
Right.
Like I want to do that.
Right. I understand. Yeah. And as a pitcher, obviously, I don't even like it as a pitcher because some pitches it's just like if a ball like goes through it, it'll call it a strike and it's like a ball in the dirt, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not fair. It's really not fair. But with that thing, it's like, I don't mind umpires miss me 2 pitches, 4 pitches, 5, 6, not bad. But you're missing 10.
Yeah.
And I threw 80 pitches. If you look at those numbers, like this is professional baseball, my guy. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I understand that aspect of you want the human. I just feel like there needs to be a balance. There needs to be like, because obviously you can't be replaying every single play. But I just feel like when you're playing for so much money, I mean, you're talking about guys with contracts of $40 million a year. I just feel like it needs to be tighter. It needs to be, it needs to be a little more the people, because now they're making up calls even on reviews. I heard that in the Barstool podcast. Like, great point. He was saying like, dude, they'll if they miss a call and it's not reviewable, and then the other guy challenge it, like they'll give you a makeup call through a challenge now. Like, it's just like you're making up.
Yeah.
Well, you get to the point where you're just making up all game, and that takes a fun out of the game, because now you're like, well, yeah, I mean, that was a ball, but like he's just making that up. Like, that's a makeup call. That's not an actual. He didn't get that, So that's a thing about it. Obviously, I would never like a robot umpires. That's just
you don't like it.
Like, that's eyewash. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Brutal. So you don't like it.
No.
What about moving the mound back?
Oh, no.
You don't like that?
Come on now. No, I feel like, man, it's a tough question, because obviously as a pitcher, I wouldn't like that. But if I look at it as a baseball fan, yeah, you want to see more contact. You want to see more power. But I mean, if they move it back, it can't be more than like a couple inches, I feel like The
I think it was like
arm injuries would increase. You know what I
I think
mean?
it's
Like,
6 injuries. 6 inches. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
think they want to move back 6 inches.
yeah. I just feel like injury. I mean, 25% of big leaguers are subject to Tommy John. Like they get Tommy John every year. 25%. 25%. That's an insane number.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you push it back, that would increase arm injuries. You know what I mean? Because of like guys who try to throw harder, guys who
Yeah.
try to. I mean, with the sticky stuff, that's already affecting guys. You know, because what's his
Did
face?
it
You got
affect? Did it affect you? Be honest. Be honest, Luis. Did it affect
no, they
you?
don't catch that. They don't catch me. They don't catch. What do I got right here? Hey.
Blended in with
No,
your
I'm just
skin,
kidding.
son. You got that rosin
I'm
bag with sunscreen.
no, I've never been a guy to use it, so I never
Yeah.
got affected by it. I like the slyness because
Yeah.
it helps with the sinker. But no, but my brother was showing me some videos where he's coming out and they're checking like his pads, checking everything. But I think that's just a waste of time. I mean,
When they
guys
checked
like it.
Max Scherzer, did you see that when he like started
Yeah,
taking off his belt and act? I was like, I love that. Yes, get him,
like,
Max.
dude, it just looks so unprofessional. Like, a guy walking out of the game taking his belt off. Like, come on, dude, this is professional, but this is the show, and we're doing
Yeah,
that. Like, I'm all for like the substance, regulating that, but like, you got to do it in house. Like, have somebody in the dugout check that. Like, have an employee from the MLB check the pitcher when he's coming in the dugout. Don't put it in front of the camera. That's a bad look, Like, you never
yeah,
see that in the NFL. You never see that in the NBA. It's like,
yeah,
and I think it's like it's so consistent. It's just like, this is kind of getting old.
yeah,
How much really could they? And then Glass now came out with a statement saying that it causes arm injury. So I mean,
yeah.
I just don't see the. I don't see. I want to see the numbers at the end of the year, see how much it is helping offense, but I just don't think it's that drastic, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think it's that drastic of a difference. In fact, I even heard some hitters talking about like, hey, if it helps a pitcher who's throwing 95 miles an hour have a little bit more control and not hit me, then I'm fine.
Yeah, I've heard
Like,
that so many times.
yeah. So I don't really. Yes, I want to see more home runs. Yes, I want to see Bellinger come out of the slump. But at some point, at some point, it's like, okay, how much is it just the sticky stuff, and how much is it Bellinger just sucking, or how much is it
Right.
just these guys just swinging and missing at fastballs right down the middle, like
Right. Yeah.
just simple
And you
mechanical
see
things.
that. You see that, like I mean, for example, Bellinger. There's at bats where he's like missing. There's a
Bro,
difference
he
between
can't hit a
this guy's
fastball,
nasty, or he's just not like. I think there's something going wrong,
bro. He cannot
because
hit a fastball.
I haven't watched him enough, but I just cannot. Dude, Belly, I used to be like, dang, I feel like that guy would be so hard to face because his swing stays through the bat pat, like through the zone so long. But dude, I could have never seen that guy slumping the way he's slumping this year.
Bro, it's incredible, and obviously
What is
I'm
he
just
hitting?
$170 maybe. Like
Ooh,
it's pretty bad. I mean,
yeah,
they justify putting him in there because obviously he's a 5-tool player, so he's still got his
right,
speed. He's takes great routes to the ball. He's got a great
right,
arm. He's so fast on the base pass. But the thing is like you got to get on base to be
right.
fast. But for me, I just look at him and the home runs that he has hit. I think maybe outside of like one or two have all been on breaking balls. So
Yeah,
he's making contact, but it's all on breaking balls. I mean, if I was a pitcher, I wouldn't throw him anything. I would just throw him high fastball, maybe break off a change
yeah.
every now and then just to get him looking for something different. But I mean,
I
he can't hit a fastball.
Yeah, I think it is too the fact that like you have success in the big leagues and now the technology is crazy. Like they probably figured out his scouting report, and I feel like that up and in pitch on him is always going to be a struggle just because of his setup.
Yeah.
But
So if you were a coach, would you change him or how what's the thinking behind like in a professional setting? Obviously, you got there doing what you're doing.
right,
Like trust
it's
your
not.
stuff for sure,
Mhm.
right? But like to some like if you're slumping, if you're not doing well, something's got to give. So like what would you
Right.
say what would you say?
I think it would be an adjustment. It's not always like changing; it's adjusting. It's adjusting to different approaches. Like for example, they have your scouting report. You know that for a fact. You know, they
Yeah,
know your
yeah,
hot zones and they know your weaknesses. So you gotta come into that not fully thinking about it, but you gotta be aware of it. You know, you gotta be able to, like, I feel like good hitters. I always talk to hitters in the dugout. You know, because you have 4 days of rest. So I'm just like, what are you looking at? You know, and he's like, right off the bat, I can tell they're trying to work me in. You know, because if their miss is like way in, and then their miss is like low and in, you know, you're trying there. You realize, all right, they're trying to work me in. With Bellinger, I haven't watched enough of him, but I just feel like even seeing him back then, yeah, he was a dangerous hitter, but like I feel like his swing just had so many holes because of how, like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I mean, obviously I'm not a hitter, but if I'm a pitcher, I'm like, all right, I'm going up and in on this guy, all day, you know, up and in, and if I'm going to throw my breaking ball, it's got to be in the dirt, you know, it
He'll
can't
swing.
be. Yeah, he'll swing, he'll golf it out. I've seen him golf like low breaking balls in, and he'll golf him out. So as a pitcher, you're just thinking that. But like going back to your question, it's like you can't think like change. You got to think adjust. You got to
Mm.
adjust. You know, whatever I'm doing right now is not working, so I got to go back to my base. My base is, you know, what I said earlier, north to south. So let's go from there. And then once I go there, now we're working. Now we work in. Now we work out.
Yeah,
You know, that's how I look at it, because I've had bad outings and bad streaks, bad months where I'm like, okay, this is not working, so I have to approach it a little different, you know, especially with scout reports. You know, guys are able to see what your tendencies are, and like, dude, I remember our scout department sent me like my numbers. It's like the percentage of times you throw a sinker on a 2-1 count during a day game. It's crazy the numbers they got. It's like,
that's great.
you know, yeah. So I feel like it's not about changing, it's just about adjusting. And
Yeah,
I feel like Bellinger, I know we're what, it's already August or September, so I feel like this season is just, it's probably, you know,
yeah,
done for him. Numerically wise, like, you know,
yeah,
he's gonna
yeah,
hit under the Mendoza line unless he goes on a stupid tear. But now if I was him, I'm just like, all right, playoffs is it's a new season, you know.
yeah.
You know, that's why you gotta look forward. You can't look backwards. So that's what I would, you know, that's the way I would look at it, things.
Yeah. One of the
So
thing I think I might have told you this last time, I'm not sure, but one of the things I really try and hone into my players is like you know, cuz there's so much baseball players, we have a tendency to come up with excuses for things like
right.
you
Oh,
know, like,
all the
oh,
time.
you know, when a pitcher's throwing 80 and we're like, oh, I only like it when they're throwing 90, like
Yeah,
95,
it's because
like
all
I,
hitting speed.
yeah, you know, I only like it when, you know, he's chucking it faster. So I don't really like these guys. And one thing that just came to my mind, like when I was like so annoyed with one of my players, I was like, good hitters adjust, bad hitters complain. And like, so
Right.
ever since I started saying that, and they're like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, it's kind of true. And I'm pretty sure like you can't disprove what I'm saying. Like bad
Mhm.
hitters continue to complain. Good hitters will say, you know, different things like, oh, that was bad, the umpire, different things like that. But
Right.
then they adjust, right? They adjust to the strike zone. They adjust to the pitcher's how fast he's throwing. They adjust to the breaking ball and different things like that. Good hitters will
Hmm.
make adjustments. Bad hitters, but in your case, it kind of just sounds like the umpire really does like
No,
get
no, and that's
stuck.
the thing. That's another point. That's the point of it. Like, I don't want to use that as an excuse.
No,
Obviously,
for
my
sure,
year
for
was
sure.
pretty good. So,
Yeah,
but that's another thing I would have to get engraved in my head. And a lot of my teammates told me, and coaches are like, have you ever seen a strike be changed to a ball? That's never happened. So you complaining about it is not going to do a thing except the fact, because that guy is now pissed that you expose him.
yeah.
And that's why, and towards the end there, man, I was like, you know, I'd give a little like shoulder lean, something, but I wasn't like visually. And then when I would, like, sometimes I remember on a pitch, I like hop because I was like, no way, that's a strike. And I'm like, hey, my bad, my bad. And the guy was like, yeah, let's go. You know, so like I never
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to show umpires up. I do the social media thing as a fun thing, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like in a game, in competition, yeah, I mean, I feel like complaining like that though is like a way of coping for ball players. Is what I found. Like,
yeah.
it's a way of coping with failure. Like, it's a way of your mind being at ease, because like you're like, damn, like, you know, you got to put it at something. If you
Hmm.
put it in yourself in that certain moment, it's tough to keep moving forward. You know, so like I see a lot of guys complain, like even in pro ball, man, you get complaints about like Oh, dude, I don't the mound sucks, or like the field sucks. Which yeah, it
Really?
does. It
Really?
does suck. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Dang.
I'm talking about elite hitters, elite pitchers complaining about the batter's box, the mound. Personally, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the complaining is just banter. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not, for me at least. I just complain because, dude, there's so many hours of the day and we're playing baseball. I got something to talk about. But you can't go into that mind. You can't go into that, like,
Yeah.
a game thinking about the mound sucks, because now you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
So
You're
because now
digging
you
a
got an
hole.
excuse.
Yeah.
Right, you got an excuse to fail. So now if
Yeah.
you fail, it's not such a big deal. So your mind's at ease and your performance is going to be worse. So I feel like, yeah, like you say, good hitters adjust, man, and seeing good hitters adjust like live is just it's so fun to watch. Like, I remember facing Danny Espinosa, guy he was with the Nationals, man, and I'm just like, sinker in, boom, takes it for a ball, and then I throw a flat fastball just in, boom, takes it, and he looks at me like, yeah, you got away with that one, kid. And then it's like you play a chess game, man.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, he's sitting on this based on that last swing. And then I remember he spit on the net, like a pretty good breaking ball, like middle low to walk him. And I was like, and he looked at me. He's like, I'm still a big league hitter. And then he walked to first base. Or like,
That's great.
I was like, because I threw it and I was just like, wow, that was a good spit.
Now let me ask you this, Luis. Don't you wish that you had coaches like us in high school?
Hey, don't get me started,
where would you be if you had just one coach? I mean, I got it. Our dads, our dads were helping
where
us.
I would be. Yeah. How about where as a team we would have ended? I'm talking about.
Tell them.
We have a big league Dodger starting pitcher.
Tell them, bro.
As a senior, we had a GCU who had a GCU lefty who had a career, I don't know, in college under a 4 ERA.
Yeah.
We had me who, I'm hanging in pro ball. We had a
drafted out of high school
from Virginia. We had a all-state football player playing center. We had some dudes, man.
Najee, Giants
playing right, a Giants draftee playing right, who's an 8-ball right now,
and then Nick Gonzalez,
and then a first rounder playing second base, Nick Gonzalez.
Dude, he is tearing it up for the Pirates.
He's the best pure minor league hitter. He's.
Did you see that? Did you see he hit home run 12, 13.
5 home runs in 2 days.
5 home runs in 2 days, 3 of them in one game. I'm just like watching him post his highlights. I'm like, how do I repost this? I think someone else posted it, and so I couldn't repost it. But I was just like, bro, you are a dog, bro. Like,
yeah, he is. He's good. He's really good.
And what would you throw him if you were pitching against him? Have you been able to see him enough? Or
yeah, I would just die with my best, which is sinker in, baby, sinker in. And I feel like the thing about
you said he's
so remember
last time you said he's the best inside pitcher inside.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing that's why the sinker works so well, because if you have a guy that can pull his hands in and keep the ball in play, because a lot of guys go deep on me for foul. I think I gave up 8 home runs foul. But I don't care. You can.
Oh yeah, it's strike one.
That's a strike, baby.
Strike 2.
So yeah, I don't care. You can do it, but to be able to keep his right hand as a righty, keep his hand through the zone like that, which is what Nick does. That is impressive. That is when you're like, all right, now I got to get crafty. I faced Peter O'Brien. Oh, by the way, 70 innings, I give up 1 home run.
Dang.
Because that was my approach. I would just go in on it. If a guy can do that, then you're better than me, kid. Like I'll accept it,
Yeah.
And that was the guy, Pete O'Brien. He was able to he just hit a bomb on a pitch middle or in. Like I'm talking about at his boobs,
Yeah.
And that's what Nick does, man. And the thing about it is he also on an outside pitch, he doesn't you know what I mean? He doesn't try to he just goes with wherever he thinks the ball is going to go next is where he takes a swing with it. And I was watching highlights of him the other day, and I'm like, damn, this guy's not that big, but dude, this pop is real.
it is ridiculous how
Yeah,
good of a hitter he is. Like,
yeah,
and he's just a stud, man. Like, is he playing
yeah.
second? Is he playing second or short? I think he's second, right?
I think he's playing second. Yeah, I think he's playing second. But like I haven't kept up with him that much. But I keep up with Twitter, so he's
Yeah,
always
that's
doing really well. So and I haven't really looked at his numbers, but I can just tell by his videos, man, he's gotta be banging me because I think I saw him take a pitch deep in spring training. I was like 96 in, and he took it like in the gap, and I was like, what the hell? And he
bro.
took it deep to I gotta play winter ball with Chris Ellis, who's now in the big leagues with the Orioles. A
Yeah,
dude that's like 94, 98. And I was like, damn, he went deep off Chris. I mean, his hand speed is real because I
yeah,
got those cheese.
yeah. That's insane. But going
Yeah.
back to what you were saying, so our team, we were stacked. We had a solid team in high school.
Oh yeah, we did.
Well, dude, what happened? How come we didn't?
That's
What?
the
It's
thing.
just Gabooty?
And this is so many different, like, dude, I've had so many road trips where I'm just like, what went wrong? But the thing about it is that,
That's great.
dude, everything went wrong. We had a damn coach cuss us out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
We had them suspend us. We had them like, I mean,
bro.
everything
You
went
guys
right.
got was it? Did you get suspended with Greg,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Cody, and was it you? You
Yeah,
three.
me, Greg, Cody.
When
Yeah,
when Twitter first came out, these
yeah,
jokers. Hey man, that shows how old we are. But when Twitter first came out,
yeah.
these jokers got on there. And what did you guys even say about our coach?
So the story was that we were driving. We're coming off an upset. We got beat by a team we shouldn't have been beat, and we're driving to play a different team. We lost on a Tuesday. We're driving on a Thursday, and we're driving there, and this assistant coach, is just going off on all of us. Like, Andre, you suck. You can't throw a strike. Guys with the Dodgers, by the way. Greg, you're awful. You can't hit. He had like 8 bombs that year. Gamez, you're just here because of your brother. I'm like, my brother freaking what? And then he goes like, Cody Costello, I don't even want to talk about you. You're awful.
Oh
So
my.
we started, like, as teenagers, we started
Yeah, yeah.
tweeting about the situation instead of responding to him in his face. And I said, Mr. Rice, I will catch you in the streets. I didn't mean that violently. I meant it as I want to say hi if I see you outside of school.
Of course, yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
and the school took that as a threat, and after being a student with,
Soft.
yeah, I got suspended for 2 weeks. So all the guys listening, don't tweet about your teachers, even if it's good. Just keep it off. Keep it off social media. Just send it straight. Send it to the boys chat.
Hey, but I remember walking. So like, Gabusi, Rice. I think we had one other assistant. Was it Gonzalez's dad? I think he was there too.
Yeah, it was.
He helped us
It
out.
was.
But
Yeah.
I remember
He was the only real coach.
dude, only one that cared about us, bro. The
Yeah.
only one that cared about us. But I remember, just going back to that story, walking out of practice, and they kept you,
Yeah.
Greg, and Cody behind. And I'm walking. I think I had to wait for you because I was giving you a ride home.
Yeah, you were good.
And dude, next thing I know is I hear Rice just screaming at the top of his lungs, like,
And they give it to you.
threatening
Like
you guys.
Yeah, this is like 1,000 yards. I'm talking 1,000 yards from like where you're at,
Bro.
right? Or no, maybe like 500 yards, but it was still pretty far.
And he's
lot
over
in the
there.
dugout.
And I remember him saying something like, "Come at me." 2 17-year-olds to 16, 17. Yeah.
He's
dude.
like, you want to catch me in the streets? I'm right here. Come at me. Do something, you little baby. And I'm just like, oh, there's no way this is legal. And it ended up not being legal because 5 years later he got fired, and he got for mingling and dingling with students in the same school. So, ball never lies, baby. Ball never lies.
Dude, the ball never lies. But I remember thinking, I was like, bro, this guy's a psycho. Like, he's a crazy person. And I remember, like, he would smoke with the kids. Like, dude, that was like common knowledge back then. Like, he was smoking with the students, and then he would come to practice all the time high.
Explicit content. showing us explicit content on his phone, and that back then it was like, you didn't see as many stories. So you're like, oh, it's just not a big deal, I guess. I
Yeah,
mean, you knew it was wrong, but you were just like not going to make a big deal about it because you didn't want like, all these things happening. But now, I mean, dude, if you would have done that, what he did back then, now my man would be in federal prison for 25 years.
bro. You remember when? Oh my gosh, I totally spaced it. The first coach that we had our freshman year.
Oh yeah,
Welch,
the
Coach
first
Welch.
guy. Oh, Todd Welch.
Coach Welch, bro. I remember being at a practice when it was fall ball, so JV and varsity are all together, and him and your brother Juan being like an inch apart and screaming at the top of their lungs at each other, bro, cussing up a storm. I'm like standing there like whatever I was, 13, 14 years old, a little freshman, little
Yeah.
baby. I'm homeschooled too, so I don't even know like anyone. And so like I
You're
knew
like, is this supposed
you.
to happen?
I was like, bro, but Juan just like standing up for himself, screaming at Welch, and Welch just screaming. I was like, bro, what is this team, bro?
Yeah.
We got psychos on this team.
No, but Todd Walsh was a whole different story. That guy, he was strict coach, but he was very disciplinary, very military type. You had to do yes sir,
Definitely.
no sir. And my brother was a stud who was like, I ain't following none of these stupid rules. And he wanted to. I think he came in with like a hat, a different hat. It wasn't a team hat, and Welch got all worked up. And no,
Yeah.
but that I think to this day he was never my manager, but as a coach, that's one of the best coaches
I learned the
because
most.
and he built structure. Like I feel like when you're teaching young adults, like I'm talking like 15 to high school, you got to have structure.
Yeah.
I work out sometimes at a local high school, and it's like you can just tell that there's no structure. That there's no, like, I feel like as a player growing up, you got to be able to know that there's going to be consequences if you don't do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's how life is. As you get older, you realize, like in pro ball, man, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, even though you're trying your hardest, you lose your job.
Yeah.
And that leaves a lot of uncertainty, especially on land players. Because there's nothing to fall back on. So going back to like high school, I feel like if you show like early consequences, it kind of just disciplines your mind to know that if you don't not perform, but if you don't do everything in your power to perform, there'll be disciplinary actions. I used to hate running. We always ran if we made an error.
Oh my gosh. So that was Vinny's fault. I don't know what Vinny.
Yeah.
Bro, our JV head coach, he would, every time we made an error, we would have to run. And I remember I was like, bro, pro guys are making errors. Like,
right.
what are we
like,
doing?
Yeah.
Bro, what? Every time we made an error, like right off the jump, like right when we would start taking ground balls, if we made an error, it was over. We were running for days.
It was over.
I remember a soccer player came to one of our practices. I'll never forget. And he was like, dude, you guys run more than us. And I was like, no, we don't. He was like, yeah, you do. I was like, what are we doing here, bro?
That was some of the best times, though, man. I remember, like, dude, every single guy on that team, like everybody in that team, like we actually all hung out outside of baseball. Like everybody on that team, from like the catcher to the right fielder, everybody hung out, and we all had like bonfires and hanging out. And that's like so not heard of now. Like,
yeah.
It's like I just see, like, coming up in different teams and stuff. It's like, especially because of pro ball, guys are usually older and stuff. But yeah, man, that was some of the best times, though.
Yeah, dude.
That was some of the best times.
Yeah, Welch was but going back to Welch, him and KJ, I know you remember KJ because he was a stud too.
He's a head coach right now at Cienega.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's a stud.
Wow.
Man. He's a great dude. Yeah, he's a head coach at Cienega, and they're doing great things, man. I mean, they got a couple guys that went to college afterwards. He I think he was Nick's coach when he was there.
That's great.
Senior year.
Dude,
yeah,
him.
He's a guy. He's a great guy. And
dude, him and Welch.
The most out of everybody else about baseball because he played. Yeah. He played pro ball, so he knows structure. He knows how to point a race. He knows how to deal with players, deal with egos. I mean, he's coaching Andre's little brother now, who's committed to ASU. Dude, he's like, through the Instagram, I see more, because I don't talk to him that much, but I just see he's doing a great thing. And it's cool because I was like, I used to be like, man, I'm not proud to come from Cienega. Like these people treated me like crap, like these coaches didn't, I think they regressed me. If anything, they made me
Yeah.
doubt myself because, as I went into minor league baseball, it was like, damn, am I that good? Because I never got that confidence from a coach, like
Yeah.
it was always the opposite. Like you can't pitch, you throw hard doesn't mean you can pitch. Like, dude, a coach is telling you that instead of trying to get you better, which is why I respect Vinny Mesquite a lot. I don't think his knowledge was like, he didn't know
Yeah. Here's football.
as much. Yeah, he was a football guy. He didn't know as much, but he was learning. But he was so passionate into making us better that he didn't care if he stayed there for an hour. I remember we throw a bullpen. Usually it's like a 10-minute bullpen, and it would turn into like an hour of him talking and me going back and forth. And Aaron's just on a knee right there catching. Like, come on, I gotta hit BP.
Bro, that's the worst when pitchers just start talking to pitchers, pitching coaches, all that stuff. But no, my freshman year, I learned the most about baseball in that one little year with KJ and Welch in fall ball than I did that whole 4 years. I mean, just taking ground balls, Welch talking about getting around the ball, working through it, getting that in-between hop, different things like that, as far as hitting was concerned. And then, dude, I remember when they left, I was just like, this sucks. This sucks.
Yeah.
Because Gabusi, and that is a testament to, like, obviously as you get older, there's things that you can't control about, like, maybe about your weight or about health and different things like that. But I remember just the lack of respect I had. I mean, he is a person of authority, so we respected him a little, some. Right. But I mean, dude, he was, for those that don't know who he was, and I'm not trying to speak ill of him, but it was just like, he was 400 pounds. He was one of those guys that was like, you're going to run until I'm tired. He yelled at us in front of everybody. He was just, it was like, for what? Like, I'm not, now that I'm a coach, I was like, there's never a time where I feel the need to embarrass a player. Never.
Right.
Like, that never crosses my mind. Even if that player is the most arrogant, self-righteous player in the world, I would never in a huddle say something as, like, I remember one time we were in a huddle after the game, and he looked at everyone else and he said, except for Andre, none of you guys are going to keep playing baseball after high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he said that a lot, he said that a lot. And I would always say, like you say, I'm not trying to speak ill of anybody. I'm just trying to use this because I know your players watch this. So
and it happened, and it happened. It's part of our lives.
And their parents, right? It's part of our lives. And I think me telling you now as a coach, that made you realize how sometimes when you're looking at a person of authority, they can change your frame of thinking. Like, I try to get the positives out of that situation because it was an awful situation. I don't think anybody other than the people in that team realized how bad that environment was and how toxic it was. How I feel like 50 times he would call you out in a huddle full of 30 guys and point you out and be like, using you as an example of what not to do, or I remember guys hitting and they miss a couple balls and they're like, get out, get out. Wouldn't let you finish the round. Yeah. Or I remember one time I stole third with one out, got thrown out of third, and he just screamed in the middle of a game with parents, stupid, and that's engraved in my mind, also, when he said I wasn't going to pitch at all and that he doesn't care about my dad. He doesn't care about Juan, that I'm not a pitcher and I will not be a pitcher on his team. That's stuff that, engraved in my mind. And as a young person that you don't, you take things more seriously.
Yeah.
Into heart. And I think that's what he did wrong. And I mean, I don't have any hate towards him. I just, he, you have, it's like, it's like going to an oil to change your car or oil change. You go to places and they suck and they're brutal and you're never going back. And that's the way I look at it. He's a coach now at a facility. I would never recommend anybody going there because of my experience. Maybe he's better now, but I can't tell you that, So it's just like, as a player, you just, especially in baseball where failure is such a thing, you never want to make your players feel like they're failing. You got to make them realize what they're doing, but you got to always positively try to help them, because there's so much failure in baseball. And as long as you play, you're going to be failing and failing and failing and failing. So failing and then being told you failed, it's like, the
Yeah.
worst combination.
And you're right. It's like it's just such a bad time, like in our developmental stage of our lives,
Right. Right.
where like even in college, it took me a long time to trust my head coach, where what he was
Right.
saying to me was not like trying to embarrass or
Right.
condemn me, but rather as like a good critique. Like, hey, I see this, and you need to adjust it. You need to change it. But I was always on the defensive. Like, oh, this guy hates me.
Right.
Like
It
he just
developed you though. That's how you
yeah
were developed. That's how we were developed. To this day, I'm trying to still be a better coachable player because that was me too, man. Like everything I took, I was like, damn, I would take it to heart, because
yep
that's just how I was developed. I'm talking
yeah
about from the 15 to or from 14 to 17, I was told I sucked the whole time,
yeah
and it was like every game, dude,
yeah
every practice, it's like you might lose your job.
yeah
And I mean, at that point, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna get a scholarship with my academics. It was like Johnny's got to work to get a scholarship. And I wasn't, you're not getting the opportunity, and you're just being told you suck the whole time. And I
yeah
feel like, man, if we would have got the right people there, I feel like so many different careers would have went in different ways. I know TJ's career would have went different. Greg's career would have went different potentially. Yours would have went way different. You even ended up playing college baseball afterwards. After this guy pretty much made you want to quit your senior year.
yeah
So it's just like, man, I just wish we could have relived that with Welch, not even anybody else, just Welch.
yeah
And
just Welch.
see
Just Welch sticks
see
around.
what it would have turned, right? Or have KJ there and see what it would have done. Maybe we don't do it as good, but there's no way we would have gone eliminated first round being against Catfoot, who we probably beat 10 times before.
Yeah. I mean, they did have Luis Gonzalez, who's playing with the White Sox. That guy's a dog.
Yeah, no, he's with the Giants now.
Oh, he's with the Giants? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So him and Najee are going to be playing with each other.
Yeah.
Yo, that'd be tough. Two Tucson boys playing with each other.
I
Dude,
know.
that'd be
sick.
Oh, dude. That would be way sick. No, but just going back, it wasn't until my senior year that I remember like still dealing with this. One of the practices. So I told you I was hitting really well, and I just always felt defensive with my coaches, and that's a different story. Maybe I had some good reason, a lot, but I remember for an inter squad, there was two catchers, and we split time because we played a four game series every weekend and different things. So we'd always split time, and he put me and him on the same team, and then put another guy on another team as for that other guy to get more reps. And so I felt like kicked to the curb because I was like, oh, I should starting catcher on the other. Like, I'm just like playing mental games with myself. You know what I'm saying?
But that's how it was, though. Remember, we'd have practices. It's like, hey, if you miss a ground ball and the other guy gets it, you're gone. It was like a point system. I remember going to cut with Cody, right? You miss a ground ball, whoever meets the list in the practice, whoever missed the least would get the starting job for the next game. Like, dang, man.
It was, and so anyways, like, I literally went up to the coach and was like, hey, coach, am I good? Like, did I do something? And he like looks at me like a dummy, like, Aaron, are you being serious right now? Like, you're fine. Like, I just want to get this other kid some reps type thing. Like, totally, like, not even thinking, not even close to the same headspace as like where I'm at. And another coach came up to me because they communicated, and he was like, Aaron, what? He's like, you have like, and from that point on, I was like, okay. But he was like, you have to move past whatever you think we're thinking, we're probably not thinking. And he's like, you have to move past whatever you got going on. Like,
oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, my bad. Like, all right.
No,
yeah, you're right.
So
I am. And I'm fine. Like,
yeah. And in pro ball, I would do the same. Like, I would be throwing and I'm like, oh, is he watching this right now? Like, it's like, as a young player, you thinking about what your coach is thinking is never going to help you move forward, ever. Obviously, you have to know, like, you have to be phoned in what they're looking for skill wise, but that's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I feel like using that energy towards trying to think of what the coach is thinking is just never going to help you out. If you're good and you're good, you're going to get the playing time or whatever, you're going to move forward. But
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what a coach is thinking is just never gonna go your way. Because I was that way, like you say, it's how we were developed. So that was hard to get rid of as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Gabusi, he was just a trip, man. He was something else. He would wobble out to the mound. It'd take like a year, dude. We used to act like we were like he was like moving the earth and we were like rumbling, bro. I was like, wow, bro. We really be messing with him back in the day. Like
Yeah,
he
we
was
did.
shake.
We did, but dude, he made us like create this hate towards him, man. Like I think half of it was like, he did it to himself, but obviously we're like 16, 17. So you put a guy like that in front of all these athletic guys, you're gonna get roasted, my man. Like,
bro, and he was a health teacher. He was a health teacher at Choya. Which was even bro. Oh man, I'm not. Let's just say he asked me one time to go get something from his car. Like I think it was like I don't even remember. Like what a clipboard or something. I almost couldn't find it because of like it was just such a mess. That's as much as I'll say. Like it was just like, and all that to say, being a leader that leads by example just makes a tremendous amount of difference. Someone that can say, hey, go run a mile under 10 minutes, and you can get out there and run a mile under 10 minutes. Like that says more. Like when we would condition with Welch, he was out there with his kid. Remember that? He was out there with his kid, and his kid had a helmet.
In the weight room. Yeah.
Why did his kid have a helmet on? You remember that?
I think it's because of the head. Like their head comes out like different. So it's like the helmet, it's a way for their head to like
okay. But yeah, so his kid would be walking his kid and KJ would be walking right, and then he was in the weight room just like being a dog with us. I mean, he was a stud. I mean,
he just was so strong.
The level of respect that a young person can have or will give to someone, to a person of authority, really does shift off of, okay, is this person worthy of my respect, or are they just demanding it? You know what I'm saying? And Gabusi just tried to demand it, and so did Rice, and they both they were crazy people.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing. Like in a scenario where I remember I had a pitcher, because I came out and I was pitching in a game, and it was a situation that was pretty close, and then they made an error, and I came in the clubhouse and I was like, God, like come on, that can't happen. Kind of exposing or showing up my teammate, and I remember a guy came up to me. He was like you can't do that. Like that's disrespectful. Like you got to be able to control your emotions. Long story short, same thing happens next game. A guy misses a cutoff, man, and he screams at the guy in the middle of the game, and I'm just looking at him like, how are you able to tell me that? And you go out and do the same thing. You know what I mean? That just makes you lose so much validation.
Yeah, credibility.
Credibility, validation. Like, I'm just like, you make sure your dogs are lined up before you come out and let me something. Obviously, I appreciate that because it is something I needed to work on and that I still need to work on. But it's hard to respect somebody when they come out and try to give you advice on something they didn't do. It's like, and that was a whole high school experience. Like, you're telling me to be an athlete when it looks like you've never been an athlete.
Bro, do you remember when we spit in Thomas's glove?
Yes.
His brand new glove. I think I don't know who it was. It wasn't me. He hated me in high school. Someone spit in his glove, and there was just like a loogie inside of his brand new. Oh my bro, that was probably one of the
high. Yeah.
His most expensive. I think he was definitely a glove guy, and
say the least.
Oh, because he worked with you at the Padres.
Yeah.
And so you guys all used to get all that gear and stuff, and he'd be walking in with wood bats, like he's a PO, and he'd be walking in with bats and stuff. And
what's up, bro?
Bro, like, he played baseball too.
He played. He played at I don't even know where he played. I think Arlington, UT Arlington.
Yeah, so he played. I mean, dude, we had a solid team.
Yeah, he was a good dude.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a jerk back then, but he turned out to be a good dude.
Did he? I haven't.
I hope you edit some of this stuff. You gotta edit. You gotta edit a lot, bro.
No, nothing's getting edited, bro. That's too much work for me.
Yeah. Hey,
I
come
don't even
on.
know.
I just roasted Gabusi.
Hey, you're good though, bro. You're not even in the same country as him half the year, so you're straight.
I know. I'm just kidding. Hey, no, but Schroeder, I do appreciate our
Oh yeah,
past relationship. He was a good dude. He got married recently, so
did he?
congrats to you, Schroeder. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. But no, man, I just that as much as you want to say like it affected us, but it made us realize a lot of things. So like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
I've never been in such a high competitive, like no competitive environment that I've been in past high school. Like I've been freaked out by it because that environment was so competitive
yeah,
every day, man. And it was like us against each other. That's what they made us turn on each other, you know?
yeah,
But it was every day, man. Hey, your lunch money could be taken any day. And
yeah,
if there's a positive thing that came out of that, I think is that I was never complacent and I've never been complacent after that because it was every day you had to compete. Every day you had to earn your job. Literally. Like the other guy could could have 3 at bats and you could have 55 at bats, but your job could be taking that day if you didn't have a good practice.
yeah.
If you
Dude,
didn't have a good round of BP.
so true.
You know?
So true. I think that's probably a good place to end, bro. We've been chit chatting for a minute.
Yeah.
I know I'm probably keeping you from. Dude, I could
No, you're
talk.
good,
I said
bro.
this last week, but I could talk all day because I'm not married and I don't have kids, so like I could just be here. I got no.
Hey, do you have a girlfriend yet?
All right, now we got to edit it out. No, I don't. I'm single, baby. I'm single, ready to
You got a
mingle.
birthday? Hey,
Nothing.
shout out to the boys. Hey, come on now. I know West Virginia don't got that many, but I think you can scrape something.
Shit. Hey, you know you were here. You were here
know,
in
bro.
W, son. No,
It's a lonely place.
bro, all my boys are gonna listen to this and be like, "Yo, he knows exactly what he's talking about."
No, the thing about it though is that you said something about Tucson with Nate about Tucson sucks. Come on now, I've
Oh, it
been to
does
West
suck.
Virginia, baby.
All right. Tucson, I stand by what I said. Tucson's buns.
No, that's where the freaking Tucson. You can't talk about the city like that, baby. Come on now.
You mean how U of A just got beat by Maryland?
Oh yeah, but ASU won.
I mean, sorry, not
Arizona,
by. I'm sorry, not by BYU. Arizona got beat by BYU, but West Virginia just got beat by Maryland too. So I guess I can't. I guess I can't say any too much trash. But UCLA beat LSU, so I'm kind of hype about that.
I did see that.
But no, dude, Tucson's always gonna have a special place in my heart. That's where I went to middle school. That's where I went to high school. I got a lot of love. That's where I met you. I got a lot of love for Tucson. I'll be back there in October for 2 weddings too. So.
Oh damn, dude! I leave September 19th.
I'm not surprised. You're never there when I'm there.
I know, man. You always trying to dodge me, son. Come see the face.
Shut up. You're the one that's like, oh, I got winter ball. I got this. Bro, come on.
Hey, this pretty face don't put the money on the table, all the food on the table, son. I gotta work.
I know, dude. I'm taking a bunch of time off here pretty soon, but dude, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I appreciate you, bro. Any last words of wisdom?
Nah, man. I appreciate you having me. It's always a good time to sit down and chat. You know, we analyze what's going on, what's going to move us forward, and it's always a good time, man. I hope your players learn something. You know, learn something from our conversations and take it with a grain of salt. But I always appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you, Luis. Thanks, everyone.